Welcome to the 2021 Alaska Angel Conference. Thanks for joining us. My name is Mark Billingsley. I am the director of the University of Alaska Fairbanks' Center ICE Innovation Hub, as well as its Office of Intellectual Property and Commercialization. And I have also been the primary coordinator for this year's 2021 Alaska Angel Conference. And I'll be the MC for the event tonight. And joining me on this virtual stage multiple times this afternoon or evening will be Scott Bell. He's the primary fund manager for this year's Alaska Angel Conference. He is an experienced angel investor, longtime Alaska engineer. I knew him when he worked at ran facility services at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. He sits on boards in the state of for organizations in Alaska, and serves in many other capacities in our community and in our state. So these quotes here on the screen, I think that they really capture the spirit of our founders of the Alaska Angel Conference this year and our investors. These are people, both the founders and the investors. They have a vision for what they want to achieve, and you're going to hear some of that tonight. They are literally the ones who are carrying the torch of Alaska's financial future. They need our support and they deserve our support. I'm excited we get to share their stories with you this afternoon. And we've got a fun afternoon planned. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so we're gonna get right into it. There will be no fluff. To start, I wanted to acknowledge the great people who have contributed their time and their effort to get us to this final event. So thank you to the organizers of the people who have helped organize this year's Alaska Angel Conference. Scott, Anna, and Ray are this year's fund managers. Melanie and Martina from 49th State Angel Fund and Juneau Economic Development Council, respectively. They contributed so much to helping make this event happen, the whole Angel Conference happen. Brian Holst and Evan Wilkin from the Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation and Juneau Economic Development Council again helped with sponsorships, general support, promoting this event in Juneau and Fairbanks. And then I should mention this whole event is the brainchild of Kevin Croy when he kicked it off a couple years ago, and Aaron Bach has been a major part of making it happen each year as well. On the sponsors, wow, we have had an amazing level of support, and it really shows that people want to support events like the Alaska Angel Conference, with them believing that this is really effective at broadening the scope of Alaska's economy. So at the silver level, we've had truly generous door prizes from these companies. You all are in for a treat for this virtual free event with such outstanding door prizes. We'll be getting to that here in a little while. So Chena Hot Springs Resort, Fountainhead Antique Auto Museum, Wedgwood Resort, Riverboat Discovery, Gold Dredge number 8, and Nomadic Stars is going to give you a sense for what the door prizes are like. A couple others there under the silver level. We've gotten a lot of help from JDO Law and Northrum Bank, providing legal and financial services for the Alaska Angel Conference this year. Under the gold level, we received direct financial support from each of these companies: Design Alaska, Hale & Associates, Kinross Fort Knox, and McKinley Bank. Except Alaska Airlines, they contributed what you will see is the People's Choice Award, which you'll be voting on in a little while. And then finally, at the platinum level, these organizations really just contributed a ton to making the event, the entire Angel Conference happen. So UAF's Office of Intellectual Property and Commercialization and the UAF's Alaska Center ICE, the 49th State Angel Fund, Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation, and JEDC, Juneau Economic Development Council. In addition to these sponsors, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Margot Fliss, who, in addition to being a wonderful person, has made a wonderful contribution by following up with the many promising companies that have applied to and participated in the Alaska Angel Conference this year. All right, so with that, happy Cinco de Mayo. I keep on being reminded by people that today is Cinco de Mayo. So here's the agenda for this evening or this afternoon. We're going to start with a conversation with pioneering businesswoman Shellye Archambeau, who we will introduce in just a moment. And then we'll hear 10-minute pitches from each of the finalist companies. And then we'll announce the final investment and People's Choice Award. But first, let's talk about Fairbanks. So Fairbanks is an amazing place if you haven't been. It's the land of extremes. It attracts unique, vibrant, and talented people. It has an amazing arts community. The outdoors are unparalleled. We've got the northern lights in the winter and the midnight sun in the summer, and we're just 120 miles from the Arctic Circle. Honestly, once you move there and get enmeshed in the culture, it's hard to live anywhere else. Fairbanks is also home to the world's top Arctic Research Institute, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, which is where I work. And finally, the reason I'm saying all this is Fairbanks is host to this year's Alaska Angel Conference. Scott and I both live in Fairbanks. We wish that this final event was in person here in Fairbanks, but alas, there is an ongoing pandemic. In any case, please visit and please invest in Fairbanks. All right. So with no further ado, let's do this. I'd like to introduce Erin Baca. Erin will be moderating the fireside or the Wireside, this virtual chat with Shellye Archambeau. Erin is the director of the Municipality of Anchorage's 49th State Angel Fund. She has also helped run the Alaska Angel Conference during its first during its first and second year, but especially during its first year, which effectively laid the groundwork to get us to where we are today. It's been great working with her for the past few years. I've come to know her as someone who really brings great energy and passion and a positive attitude to everything she does. So Erin, if you can join me on the stage and take over at this point, that would be great.
All right, are we set?
Good to go. I can hear you and I can see you.
Shellye, if you would like to begin your video and unmute. Hello. Hi, so hello to everyone and Shellye. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Shellye Archambeau. She is the former CEO of MetricStream, who Reid Hoffman, the co-founder and former executive chairman of LinkedIn, describes as the woman who pulled off the most effective or incredible Silicon Valley turnaround you've never heard of. She currently sits on the boards of Nordstrom, Verizon, and Roper Technologies. She not only advises growing startups, but she also advises the Royal Bank of Canada, Capital Markets, and Forbes Ignite. She's regularly named on Who's Who lists in technology and is the protagonist of the Harvard Business School case study, Becoming a CEO. In her spare time, if you can believe she has any, she is a Forbes contributor. She runs a gourmet dinner club and writes a blog that provides career advice, insight, and other musings. She is the author of Unapologetically Ambitious, Take Risks, Break Barriers, and Create Success on Your Own Terms. This book will inspire you. It inspired me. It'll provide tools to enable you to fight the battles, make the trade-offs, not sacrifices, and create the life you want. So welcome, Shellye. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Erin. Appreciate the nice introduction.
Thank you. We are so thrilled to have you. This is quite the big deal for us here. So, and I just wanted to pause before we jump into questions and just explain to our community why the Alaska Angel Conference chose you as our guest speaker. So as mentioned in the intro, Reid Hoffman spoke of the turnaround, and that was essentially Shellye's taking on the role of CEO for a failing tech company on the verge of bankruptcy. Shellye, you then grew it into MetricStream, which now boasts over 1,200 employees and has a valuation in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So thinking about the aspirations of our Alaskan startup community, I see it as having hundreds of Shellye Archambeaus who make this state the best possible place it can be for entrepreneurs and investors. I'm so excited to hear about your journey, Shellye. I'm ready to start if you are.
Absolutely. Let's jump into it, Erin.
All right. You are quoted as saying, if you try to avoid risk, you actually risk total failure, or worse, mediocrity. Why is mediocrity worse than total failure?
Because mediocrity, you get stuck in it. So you're hanging in there, doing okay, and it gets comfortable and you just continue. But you end up not really having the impact you want, not having the return that you want, etc. Whereas if you fail, you have no choice but to dust yourself off and start something else, so that you're actually able to move forward. But I find if you actually fall into the bowels of kind of mediocrity, you just kind of float. You know, and a lot of people float and they look up one day and say, gosh, I'm just not where I thought I would be. Right? So much better to have the failure, and that forces you to actually make some changes and move forward.
I had no idea you were going to respond, and that was perfect. So throughout your life, you, especially as a woman in the tech industry, a woman of color and in the tech industry, you were constantly assumed to be underqualified. As infuriating as that probably was, how did you use this to your advantage?
You know, yes, you could sit there and spend time getting upset about all that happening. But frankly, I was raised in an environment that basically my parents always said life isn't fair. I mean, stuff happened. And instead of, you come home and say as a kid, right, mom, life's not fair. This happened. I didn't get this. I should have. Somebody treated me wrong, right? Whatever. We can all remember doing that as kids. But my parents didn't just, hug and cajole and say, oh, next time, etc. It was like, right, Shellye, life's not fair. What? Life is supposed to be fair. You get one, I get one. What do you mean it's not fair? Well, because that was the backdrop of life not being fair, when people didn't treat me, quote, fairly, I wasn't looking to be treated fairly. I knew life wasn't fair. So I just took it as, all right, fine, just watch me. Because what that meant were expectations were lower for me. So it gives you the chance actually to overachieve. And one of the benefits about being different, if you will, is people also tend to remember you. So if you are an overachiever and they remember you, that can be a good thing. The other thing it did is it influenced my management style. I knew I couldn't have a style where you come in and be more directive, right? Here's the game plan, here's a strategy, let's pull people together, act, decisive, for all that. I knew that because of how I was going to be viewed, that I needed a more effective leadership style. And so servant leadership has really been my strategy throughout my career. And basically, right, to sum it up, servant leadership is all about helping your team to be successful. Because if your team is successful, then you'll be successful. But the focus is on them versus on you. And that proved to be very effective for me.
That's amazing. Was curious about your management style because in your book, you referenced when your husband took on the role of full-time stay-at-home dad, and you had to let go of those little messes. He wasn't doing things the way you would do them. And so I was curious how that management style of just letting go and realizing if I'm not going to do it, I have to accept that it's sort of someone else's best effort. And how does that transfer over to the work world?
Yeah, so let me tell you, first on the home front, that wasn't like an easy transition for me. And when we were both working, we had help. We had either babysitters or a nanny, au pair, somebody. And I used to manage them, right? So I managed the au pairs, I managed the nanny, whatever it was, which is, okay, here's what needs to be done, do this right, blah, blah, blah. So when my husband started staying home, I started like managing him like the nanny. That didn't go over very well, as you can imagine. So we had this conversation where he's like, listen, either you're going to let me do the job the way I'm going to do it, or I'm not doing this job, right? This is very simple. It's like, okay. But the beauty is that was something that happened within a few years of our relationship, which meant that I took that into the business world. realizing, okay, that's this whole issue of micromanagement, bottom line, right? So you have to enable people, let them know what needs to be accomplished, but let them do it their way. And when you do that and you stay close to it, so when they struggle, when they stumble, when things don't quite go right, you're there to catch their back, right? To support, to whatever. That is the most effective way to get things done, but also leverage your own time in terms of where you spend focus. So I personally believe a lot of what I've learned outside of business, in the home, in the family, in relationships, totally transfers to business. And by the way, vice versa. A lot of what I learned in business totally translates to helping make things at home work better also.
Yeah, that's an amazing point. And I think we're sort of transitioning in the professional world to understanding that we are human beings. We're not robots, and we bring our entire human selves into work every day. And so we have to create a certain level of understanding and even affection for the people we work with, same as you would at home, and be okay with that. So I want to talk, so your book, Unapologetically Ambitious, how did you come up with that title?
It's interesting, Erin. I had the entire book written. Now here's a book on basically how to take risks, break barriers, how to create success on your own terms. So I had it written, everything done, and I had no title. No title. I was struggling. I knew I wanted the word ambition in it because too many times I'd been told I was ambitious. People I knew had been told they were ambitious, and it was not meant as a compliment, which frankly is ridiculous, right? I mean, you would never raise your kids and tell them, oh, work hard, get good grades, get involved, show leadership, right? Blah, blah, blah. And but don't be ambitious, right? We never do that. So it's crazy that in the workforce, we do that to people. So no, I wanted ambition in it, but I couldn't call it just ambition. But I was in a conversation with some friends, all women, and we're talking about apologizing. And I said, I feel like women were raised from the cradle to apologize, because we apologize, yes, 5 to 10% of the time because we actually did something wrong. But the other 95 to 95% of the time, it's to make the rest of the world feel better, to ease tensions, to show we care, or have empathy, right? All those things. We use it like you use salt. You just sprinkle I'm sorry's and all of a sudden everything's a little better. Well, that's ridiculous, okay? So then I said, you know what, that's it. That's it. Unapologetically ambitious. Everyone deserves the right to be ambitious, and no one should have to apologize for it.
I love that. And it's interesting I think there's actually a tool you can put on your internet browser that will remove sorries and qualifying language from your emails.
I love it.
And I guess I also wanted to speak to that fine line between ambitious and aggressive. And I think sometimes people confuse the two. So what would you say, especially for women?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Erin. But here's the deal. I mean, to me, ambition just means you have something that you are trying to create, to impact, or to achieve in the future, and you're working toward it with intention. That's being ambitious. And being ambitious doesn't mean that you step on other people, you're cutthroat, right? You make sure you're clawing your way through. No, that's just being rude, okay? It has nothing to do with ambition. That's all about style. So I think we've commingled the things to say people who are rude are ambitious. No, ambition just means there's something you're trying to achieve in the future. A lot of us are trying to achieve something in the future. There is nothing wrong with that.
I love that too. And one of Randy commented, what's wrong with being aggressive? So speaking to that, before you accepted the CEO position, you did your due diligence, which I commend you for, because I don't think a lot of people do that. But you found that Vinod Khosla, the Kleiner Perkins partner, who was responsible for investing in the company, he had a reputation for being aggressive and also potentially whipsawing companies. So tell us about the one question you asked him before accepting the position and why you chose just that one question.
Yeah. So, you're right. The research has shown that, Vinod, but a lot of positives. I mean, he created incredible successes with companies, lots of wealth for people, right? The whole great outcomes, et cetera. He was supportive, when he was focused and believed in the strategy, et cetera. But he was also, as you said, quite aggressive and opinionated, intended to drive strategy. And a lot of CEOs didn't last under Vinod. So I was like, ooh, right? I'm going to take this job. I need to understand what my role really is. So the one question I asked him, and trust me, it was tough. He'd offer me the job, and I'm sitting there like, I have to ask this question. I cannot accept this job unless I know the answer. And the question was, Vinod, I told him all the positive things that he offers. I said, but you also have a reputation of being extremely demanding, sometimes whipsawing companies. I just need to know, are you hiring me to be the CEO of the company? Or are you hiring me to implement your vision for the company? And then I shut up. And let me tell you, it was the longest pause in the world. I'm sitting there waiting for him to respond, and his face, he's kind of steely, eyes anyway. And finally, just a little bit of a smirk, right, crosses on the cheek. And he says, Shellye, I can be forceful. I have strong opinions, but I hire CEOs to be the CEO of the company. And I said, okay, then I'll take the job. And the reason that was my one question is I didn't want a job where the investors just wanted somebody to implement their strategy. That's not the job I wanted. I wanted the job of CEO, driving the vision, creating the vision, right? Creating all those things. So I needed to know that's what this was. And I'll tell you, having set that stage, it enabled me not only to be the longest serving CEO under Vinod up to that point, but it also enabled me to stand my ground, because there were times when he didn't think I should do what I thought I should do. But we'd had the conversation, right? So that I could come forward and say, Vinod, I appreciate your opinion and your perspective, but I'm doing X, not Y.
Yeah.
Right? And let me tell you, those were tough.
That's actually a perfect lead into my next question. And one of the things that he said was some CEOs mistake strong opinions for being directive.
Yes.
Which I actually love that. But it is a nuanced point, in that you've also said that there is sometimes the assumption that your investors and board members know more than you do. So as CEO, how did you navigate that, not just with Vinod, but others, and those strong opinions aside and included?
Right. So the first part is to realize that your investors never know more than you know about the business. Never. You are living it, breathing it every single day. They pop in and they pop out. So yes, they can have opinions and they have perspectives, but nobody knows better than you do. So if in doubt, trust yourself. Don't just blindly say, oh, if they told me I need to do this, then this is what I have to do. They are sharing opinions based upon limited data and information. And many times those opinions can be very helpful, but realize that they are opinions, they are not directives. And that's one of the things that can whipsaw companies, because what happens is they get different data points every day. Investors are involved in a range of companies, range of industries. They see a lot of new things happening. So therefore their points of view change. This month, it's all about X. 2 months later, it's all about Y. Not because your business has changed, but because they've been exposed to other things. Well, if you keep following them every time their point of view changes, you're not going to have a company. You can't flip companies and company strategy that often. And it happens all the time. So realize you need to trust in yourself at the end of the day. Listen, absolutely. Take the feedback, definitely. Spend time to analyze and decide. But at the end of the day, it is your decision. All the board and investors can do is fire you.
Well, speaking of that, also, one of my favorite quotes of yours is, it is liberating to be able to actually follow your own beliefs because they can follow you. What did you mean by that? And how do you cultivate that values-based leadership when, there are sometimes conflicting messages or conflicting needs?
It's interesting. I think one of the main jobs a CEO has is establishing the culture. Every company has a different culture. But if you actually don't establish it, and when I say establish, I don't mean create a list of 4 things, stick them on a wall and say, there's our culture. That is not a culture. A culture is how people behave. It's not what they read, it's how they behave. So it's developing ways in which you can communicate how you expect people to actually behave. And one of the things that I did as CEO, and actually I did it long before I became CEO, I did it in other jobs as well, is I always started every staff meeting with a leadership topic. And a leadership topic to me was, it could be anything. I'll give you an example. A leadership topic would be, I'm not a mama bear. All right, what's a mama bear? A mama bear is the person that you come, you bring all your problems to, you dump them, and you expect the mama bear is going to solve these problems. I am not a mama bear, right? Everybody's job is to, yes, highlight problems, but come with options, come with solutions, come with next steps, come with something. That's not my job, that's your job. We can work on it together, but nothing gets dumped, right? I am not a mama bear. So that's a leadership topic. Short, sweet, right? Making a message. But what it does, it lets people know what you expect, right? Beyond. Because we had our culture, we were, and very similar to a lot of companies, right? Customer focused, all about teamwork, innovation, and never say die, right? Those are the key pieces. Well, fine, but that doesn't tell people how to act. So walking the talk, making sure that you are acting how you expect others to act. And then I found you by using leadership topics, it helped then reinforce, here's how we expect people to actually act that then fits within our overall culture. And that's a big part of the job, so that time and effort need to be spent there, and you need to be reinforcing it every day. I tried as often as possible, when you give awards, when you recognize people, I would tie it back to some element of our culture, right? So-and-so did a great job with this customer, showed customer focus, great teamwork. I would highlight over and over and over again. And I measured people. Our evaluations, that everybody gets evaluated once a year. Well, guess what? The 4 categories you got evaluated on were customer focus, teamwork, innovation, right? So anyway.
No, I love that. And I had never considered it. We've, as you know, I work with Melanie. So she's a longtime friend of yours, but we've discussed performance evaluations, and, research shows that they're not that effective. But we were trying to find that middle ground, and I think you hit the nail on the head there with it. So, exactly. Mark, I have no idea how our time is. So if you could just give me like 3 minutes left. Okay. Oh, that's one more. Okay. Work-life balance. You said, chuck it out the window. You don't believe in it. Talk to us about how you manage, if it's not a balance, how do you manage an ambitious career while also creating a fulfilling life?
Okay, the reason I cannot stand the term work-life balance is because I think it's a ridiculous framework. What is a balance? A balance is a fixed structure with 2 things that are even at all times. It is static. Whose life is static? Certainly not an entrepreneur's. You can plan your day, but odds are about 10% that your day will go as planned. Okay. So this whole thing about I'm going to be measured on whether I keep work and life in balance at all times, no matter what's going on in life, is ridiculous. I don't need anything else to feel guilty about. So I totally reject that. I believe in work-life integration. I wear a lot of hats. Everybody does, right? I'm a mom, a wife, right? A CEO, a board member, this, you just keep adding up the hats. But guess what? They're all in one head. So I take my professional priorities, my personal priorities. I put those things together, Erin, and I prioritize again, ruthlessly. That's the key, ruthlessly. I do what's important across my life. And that means some things aren't going to get done. And either I've got to figure out how I get somebody else to do it, or live with it not getting done. But to me, it's all about integrating life, trying to do multiple things at the same time. Exercise is important to me. I do walks and talks all the time. Why? Because I need exercise. So I will okay, we don't have to look at a spreadsheet. I used to do one-on-ones with my execs all the time. If I don't have to look at something, let's go for a walk. So integrate your life, figure out how to do multiple things at once. When my husband and I, when we could, there was no COVID, and we go out to performing arts, had loved ballets and concerts and whatever, we invite, 30, 40 friends. Why? We're going anyway. Why not make it an event, get a chance to see other people, right? I mean, multiple things at the same time, because time is what we don't have. And so the last thing I want to do is to create separate but equal, right? Balance, time. We learned a long time ago, separate and equal does not work.
That's amazing advice, and I think a wonderful note to end on. I think, Scott, you have some words to share as well, right?
Well, Shellye, I would love to have a chance to speak with you, and thank you, Erin. And Shellye, I'm going to plug your book here for just a moment. Here it is.
Thank you.
Unapologetically ambitious. I really enjoyed it. A lot of life lessons and in short chapters, good anecdotes around them. It was really a rich book and easy to digest for, especially for me here. As a way to thank you for being here with us and being part of the Wireside chat that we had today, we're making a $1,000 donation to your foundation, Ignite Foundation. And some of that money is going to support Alaska, young Alaskan entrepreneurs in receiving copies of your book. And this includes Center ICE's Students to Startups program and a similar program in the Anchorage area. So
fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This has been a really insightful interview session. And Erin, thank you for hosting it.
Thank you for letting me, Shellye. Thank you so much to you and for writing an amazing book. I look forward to the next one. I have a feeling.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you both. Okay. Thanks, Scott. And that's a wonderful announcement you just made there too, that this donation's been made possible. All right, we're gonna move on with our next item on the agenda. Actually, the next item is to go straight to the pitches. But before we do that, let's do the first door prize. Martina helped us put together the Wheel of Names. It's a website that we found. It's pretty cool. So we're gonna click to spin it, and the winner is going to get, the first of our door prizes is 2 Chena Hot Springs day passes and 1 medium Alaska themed eco-friendly t-shirt from Nomadic Stars. I don't know if you know about Nomadic Stars. It's a, Scott, are you familiar with them? You might be more familiar with them than me.
Yeah, they're a Fairbanks t-shirt manufacturer and printer. They use a lot of organic cotton t-shirts and non-toxic dyes, and they're an Alaska Native owned company. They do a really nice job.
Really cool designs too, yeah. All right, so I think if I click this, yes, there we go. Can you see it spinning? Yeah. All right. Krishna Natyal. I think that we have your email address already through registration. If for some reason you got here without registering, you might want to send it to me. I've got my email posted at this end of this slide deck. You'll see it at the very end of today's event. But Krishna, congratulations. I'm going to remove your name so that you do not get picked for our next door prize. Limit to 1 door prize per person. Okay. All right. So next is, we're going to move on to the pitches. There we go. So to provide some context for the final pitches, I wanted to explain how we got here. So what is the Alaska Angel Conference and how does it help Alaska? So the Alaska Angel Conference increases the number of angel investors in Alaska by pairing experienced angel investors with new angel investors and leading them through a structured process of working with and evaluating investment opportunities such as startup companies, and ultimately making a group investment. So one of the real purposes of the Alaska Angel Conference is to increase the number of angel investors, and that's how we do it. But another major purpose is along the way, where the Alaska Angel Conference is helping Alaska startup companies. And among the ways it does that is it mentors the founders who are applying for the funding. And then one of the companies, of course, walks away with $100,000 plus investment. I've got the bit.ly link posted there if you want to join the email list for the Alaska Angel Conference. I've also got it posted on the last slide. Not a lot of emails, so it's not a big commitment of your email inbox. So what does that process look like? Well, here it is. So back in the fall, we started recruiting companies and investors, and we had a series of educational events in the fall and then in the spring to raise awareness about the Alaska Angel Conference, but also just to encourage more investors and startups to be active in Alaska. And then the conference really started on March 3rd, which was the deadline for investors and entrepreneurs to join the conference. So in March, we held meetings every Tuesday. Some provided important information that every startup or investor needs to know. A few of the evenings were reserved for the startup founders to pitch their investment opportunity to the investors. And we realized that the Alaska Angel Conference might not be the right platform for a particular startup to receive funding. So we wanted to give all the startups that applied the opportunity to make personal connections with investors, to open up the possibility of investments that get made outside of the one that you'll hear about here tonight. So, and indeed, the Alaska Angel Conference has resulted in side deals during each of the past couple of years. So we also held a lot of networking sessions to facilitate that investor and entrepreneur communications. At the end of March, the investors had to down select to just 6 finalist companies. And then the investors broke up into due diligence teams, which worked very closely with each startup company to gather more information. And it's important to realize that just going through this due diligence process is highly educational and can be very helpful. A startup company might not receive funding through the Alaska Angel Conference, but they might have learned everything they need, or a lot, about how to pitch their company and how to build their network and how to position themselves for next time they go through due diligence with an investor. That due diligence process lasted all of April, and it ultimately culminates right here today. We'll hear the final pitches of the finalist companies, and then the investors will make their decision as to which company to invest in, and that's what we are doing next. So I want to acknowledge the companies that did not advance. Keep an eye out for these companies. They are Alaska's future. Go out of your way to support them, please. Give you a second to read through the list. All right, and let's hop into the final pitches. Due diligence leads and founders, please be ready to unmute yourself and turn on your camera after your pitch. And we are gonna get started with the first pitch. Let me pull it up.
Hi, my name is Ryan. I've been a commercial real estate agent in Alaska for the past 13 years, and for 8 of them, I've been a commercial real estate brokerage owner. I'm here today to introduce Modern City, which is the first multi-sided platform in commercial real estate where the people matter first. Why do I say that? Because in the commercial real estate industry, it is not people first, it's profit first. We're here to change that and transform an archaic and fragmented commercial real estate industry by empowering the people of industry first with our platform. We integrate transparent data, intelligent systems, and a human experience all on a single platform. Whether owning, renting, buying, leasing, constructing, or occupying commercial real estate, there is no single place to collectively and productively gather online. Simply put, we're a marketplace where two or more participant groups connect and engage in a way that creates unprecedented value so that these groups never want to leave. Do you want to be empowered in this modern world? Then come with us as a pioneer and first mover in the era of digital transformation. Let's first talk about the main segment of our platform, commercial real estate agents like me that face a major problem. First, understand that the sole purpose of a broker is to find property for our clients in the most efficient and fastest way possible. But did you know that the current reality of the tools I'm having to use to do my job are making it impossible for me to help clients achieve this? Why? Because of the reasons you see on this slide. It is only the big brokerage firms with the most money representing Class A real estate that can participate effectively on these platforms. This creates a massive gap in the market, which means a massive opportunity because of these three major reasons. The time to manually upload and maintain data across multiple websites, the money paying for listings and subscriptions, and the effort to comb through multiple websites with limited data. But the second customer segment are people searching for properties on their own. How many of you call your commercial real estate broker before you search the internet yourself? Probably none of you, right? This is actually another major problem. Why? Because the amount of time you spend online is already unhealthy. The average person spends 6 months online before they find commercial real estate for their business. And there are millions of commercial real estate owners that are not only underserved, but most actually are not even aware that they aren't being serviced at all. Let me show you. Here's all the commercial real estate search platforms. Imagine being me having to pay for all this, let alone the time it takes to input data into each one manually. It's crippled my ability to work. Did you know that for many of these sites, if you're not in a major urban city, your data is severely unrepresented and likely not even there? Let's take a look at Anchorage and the geographical gap that this situation has caused. This is LoopNet, what's most commonly recognized as the Zillow of commercial real estate. It actually is not. Can you see why? The data is locked, meaning restricted from viewing. LoopNet costs an average of $300 to $500 per listing package to expose it on its website. And there are only 50 properties being shown available for lease in Anchorage on the largest commercial real estate listing platform in the world. 2020 has caused companies to realize they don't need as much square feet. So the smaller the space size, the less likely it will be cost effective for your broker to showcase listings here. The effect is a geographical gap and a completely inaccurate view of Alaska to the outside world searching for commercial real estate. This cripples our local economy and many other economies similar to ours across North America. Here's how many listings are actually available for lease: 719 in Anchorage. Can you see how this is a huge problem for all of us? So imagine 500 commercial real estate transactions with an average revenue of $1 million in the market not happening. That's $500 million in value to commercial real estate building owners that's not transacting in the marketplace because of a completely inaccurate view of the reality of available properties in a market. How do you make decisions to transact? Data and evidence, right? But what if that data is not available or burning up your entire schedule to find it? Then you're making bad decisions, possibly no decisions. And local economies are restricted and no one's even talking about it. We're going to transform an archaic industry that's ripe for disruption by number 1, saving time, 2, saving money, and 3, creating value. How are we going to do that? Number 1, commercial real estate agents and participants upload their data into MLS one time. Then we do the rest. Users on the platform can now enjoy their lives interacting with people in real estate instead of manually keeping track of scattered data on multiple websites. Let's take a look at the market. Based on our total available market, we're looking to capture freemium subscribers across the nation and from the serviceable available market, capture 7 to 10% of them within 2 years. By year 3, we will have 1.5 million loyal users or customers engaging on our platform. Here's our traction plan over 3 years. This happens through product-led development. Think Spotify. When we were once using Pandora to listen to music, or even worse, paying per download on iTunes for music, during this time, Spotify captured an entire market overnight. How did they do it? An affordable price, product-led development, and freemium users experiencing value they've never experienced before. We're going to capture a marketplace by tackling a massive problem that currently has no solution. This is why Modern City must exist and be built now. Here's our platform roadmap. We've assembled an A team and aligned our tech stack. We've mapped out our MVP. We're finding the right talent we need and interviewing developers as we speak. Number 4, we're raising capital to run a pilot in Alaska and prove that we are worthy of an A investment round as quickly as possible. We also created a plan on how to find our customers and provide value rapidly. We know the customer like the back of our hand because we've spent years living with the problems and demand an immediate solution. Let me introduce you to the team. In college, I built a custom management information system that within 6 months grew from 15 listings to 1/3 of total market share in Anchorage with only a 4-man team. My co-founder Maggie is a product developer by trade who led front and back-end teams at scale for 2 Fortune 500 companies, Intuit QuickBooks, and a holding company that included an airline and hotel chain. We're looking for investors and mentors that have a culture fit and align with our mission to revolutionize the commercial real estate industry, put people first, and build a world-class company. Together, let's prove that we don't have to be in Silicon Valley to put Alaska on the map. Thank you.
All right. That's great. Ryan and Linda, if you could, there you guys both are already. You just met Ryan, the founder, and Linda, if you could introduce yourself, and if the two of you all could take a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so hey everybody, my name is Linda Janes, and together with Mark and Anna, we've been the due diligence team for Ryan and Maggie, and it's been our pleasure doing that. So thanks for that presentation, Ryan. It's amazing that in today's tech-enabled world, commercial real estate is still such a manual industry with massive lack of data to make an informed decision, or data that's scattered so much that it's tedious and time-consuming to find it. So let's say that I'm a small business owner looking to lease a property for my business. Paint us a picture, if you will, what your platform will look like, what it will feel like, and what kinds of information will I be able to find there, and why is that valuable to me?
Great question, Linda. That's a question that we get all the time in commercial real estate when we're servicing the marketplace. Imagine being Zillow and Pinterest and marrying those two together as a business searching for commercial real estate. Having an AI-powered search that is pictorial, so it's visual, meaning you don't have to look at lots and lots of dry data in order to get what you need based on what you want to see, instead of who's going to be advertising to you the most. That's the key of what's going to be rolling out on our platform to small business owners, but everyone out there that is in the search looking for commercial real estate. We like to call it a minimum delightable product instead of a minimum viable product, because it's like having a donut with no sugar. Who wants to eat that? Our platform is based on what people want, what our users want, and that's how we're building with product-led development. So it's for the people and built by the people that you'll see rolling out on our platform. So stage 1, think about our AI-powered search, or you're searching on a platform and you're able to see what's surrounding. So if you're interested in what restaurants, what coffee shops, what daycare centers, what schools, all of that information will be surrounding what search is designed for your small business. we're focusing on not only AI, but the human side or the people side that powers these searches so that it can be built for people instead of for advertisers trying to sell you things. In stage 2, we're expanding to mobile and GIS data layers. So things like migration, people are moving across the country. That's relative to where your business is going to go, and we're going to be displaying that data in your search. And the last thing is we're also going to be looking at multiple participant groups on the platform. So can you imagine agents like myself or agents that you know, building owners, business owners, engaging on a platform and exchanging value? Even your vendors, so engineers, appraisers, trades, etc. But the most exciting one for today's time is tech people, so that you can be in the modern era. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to save operational costs on your building in order to display that for the world to see? Those are the kinds of things that you can look forward to seeing in our MDP, or our minimum delightable product.
That sounds really amazing. Ryan, thank you so much. Really love the minimum delightable product. I don't know how you guys came up with that, but that's on point. And just want to say good luck with everything. Thank you so much for your hard work. You guys have been a pleasure to work with. You guys are on point. You're doing the right things, and we're cheering for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great job, Ryan. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we are gonna get to our next startup, and here we go.
Hello, and thank you. Thank you for investing your time and sharing your knowledge and experience with us over the last few weeks. As you know, I'm Jody Oyen, and as I previously mentioned, I've lived, worked, flown, and played in Alaska for almost 20 years. I spent several years living in a village in Western Alaska, coordinating and conducting research at a remote site on an island in the Bering Sea. Years later, while working as a commercial pilot in Eastern Alaska, I met Rebecca at Copper Valley Air.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Clark. As Jody mentioned, we met while working at Copper Valley Air Service. We were hangar mates. I was the business manager for the rural air taxi that serviced the Wrangell St. Elias National Park. After my rural aviation experience, I went to work for an aviation asset firm that dealt with worldwide jet aircraft acquisitions and sales, which gave me the perspective of how international air markets are managed. I now run a company called Arctic On Demand that created a bid boarding marketplace for passenger and cargo airlines within the state. So I still handle logistics every day. From that experience, it further illustrated the need to create a simplified platform for the Alaska market, which so many individuals and communities rely on, which brings us to Remora.
So one day, after researching shipping and logistics in Alaska, we realized that currently there's not a simple, convenient platform for handling Alaska-specific logistics. We simultaneously stated, why isn't there an app for this? And it was that light bulb moment that led us to the creation of Remora app, which is a mobile app-based platform that can be used by carriers and customers to coordinate the movement of cargo within the state of Alaska. One that easily connects free space on aircraft directly with customers, providing a more efficient and cost-saving method. So we began with market research by looking at market size.
So there are over 300 airlines within the state and roughly 300 remote villages. On average, there are over 700 flights per day in Alaska. Many communities rely on air service to bring them common necessities due to the lack of infrastructure. In the last 8 months, the village of Newtok lost a large quantity of food when their generators ceased. And the village of Tuluksuk had their water resource center burned down in January, and they needed water bottles and filters flown out to them for survival. Outside of the unplanned events, there are regular shipments. For example, direct marketers within the fishing industry often move smaller amounts of fish, shrimp, and kelp. And when the big airlines don't consider their cargo, they consider their cargo too small. With the Remora app, much of the food, water bottles, and seafood products can be coordinated on scheduled, chartered, or empty backhauls, helping reduce the costs by filling empty payloads on aircraft.
So next we researched the logistic and delivery apps that existed to find out how they were organized, utilized, and what their price structure looked at. Here's an example of, or here are several examples of some that we looked at. This gave us a good idea of what our price structure could look like. We then made a list of who we thought would use the app and realized everyone can use it. We reached out to federal and state government workers, as well as people working in the public and private business sectors, to get their opinion on the current small cargo shipping method and how they feel it could be improved. We also asked how often they use apps to help coordinate events in their daily life, and if they would find an app that coordinates cargo shipments helpful. We were met with overwhelming enthusiasm and support. With each and every conversation, Rebecca and I realized this was a product that is desperately needed in Alaska. Our market research confirmed our initial thoughts. Remora app is needed and can be a viable business that will help people throughout the state of Alaska. So we hired an app developer, graphic and web designers, and applied for proper business licenses, and Remora was officially born. During this time, we were selected as a cohort for Launch Alaska, which further confirmed our belief that Remora is a business that is needed and will be supported in Alaska. We worked with our app developer to create an easy-to-use app with minimal graphics so that it can be used throughout Alaska, even in areas that do not have robust cell service. We recruited beta testers and 7 of which were customers, 3 carriers, to test the app. As you can see, the beta testers provided valuable feedback. We gave that to our app developer and he made the changes, which brings us to our current version, which is currently being tested by our second round of beta users. And I'll walk you through the 6 simple steps of the Remora app. So step 1, the customer downloads and carriers download the Remora app, and they'll put this information, they'll input their information for their shipping request. The carriers then receive the request. They will also have a website-based platform that they can access for more information. They'll receive the quote there. And step 3, the customers will then receive the quotes from the carriers. They then select the best quote based on the price and departure time. Step 4, the customer confirms the quote selection and pays the Remora transaction fee. Carriers receive confirmation that their quote was selected, and then the carriers send a message to the customer informing them of the drop-off location and time.
So now that you understand the steps, let's discuss the fee structure and profitability of Remora. The app is free to download. There will be a $30 flat rate fee for each shipment. The customer will absorb $20 of this fee when they accept a quote, and the carriers will pay $10 when they confirm the cargo. We have created financial modeling, which has been available to you, to illustrate the payment method. Below, you will see 2 examples of cost breakdown at Ryanair and Everett Air Cargo. Both companies require a minimum rate to ship and a freight charge, in addition to a cost per pound. The prices can vary depending on season and expected volume within the aircraft, but the minimum rate is always applied. The charges are often more costly, though, when they're in a remote location. For the purposes of the launch of Remora and through financial modeling, we know that the $30 flat rate fee is competitive to entice users while still bringing profitability to the company. I'm gonna slide up so you can see the timeline. So at this time, we are currently in our 2nd round of beta testing, as Jody mentioned. This round has been more focused on air carriers' feedback and comments. Our launch is set for the end of May. Through exploration and funding and resource options, we've become part of the Center ICE program at UA, which has provided us with 2 awesome interns who will be working with us for the summer. The ICE program will be incurring all the costs for the interns, who will be focusing on marketing and direct sales while also onboarding air carriers and customers for the Remora app. In 2022, you'll see that we plan on growth and expansion. We plan to focus on more rural communities and air carriers, hire additional staff and even potential village agents to help make sure Remora and the logistics run smoothly. Potential verticals include purchasing cargo storage facilities, as well as additional revenue streams and options for customers, as well as partnering with Dash, which is a revolutionary unmanned cargo service. In 2023, we're planning for an accelerated acquisition. With the help of an advisor, we plan to focus on our exit strategy and find a company to acquire Remora. We see Remora integrating best with a third-party logistics company, local air carrier, unmanned technology company, or aviation software company. So thank you so much for your time and letting us be a part of the Alaska Angel Conference, and we appreciate your consideration. Thanks.
That's great. We've already got Melanie and Jody joining us. Thank you. You just met Jody and Melanie. If you could introduce yourself, and if you guys could take a couple minutes to talk a little bit more about Remora.
I would be happy to. Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. I'm Melanie Lucas Conwell. I'm a portfolio manager for the 49th State Angel Fund and have the delight to work with Erin Baca, who you got to hear from earlier in chat with Shellye Archambeau. I've been leading the due diligence team for Remora as part of this Angel Conference and have had the pleasure of meeting Jody and Rebecca numerous times and talking at length about how amazing Remora is. You've described to us in many words and different ways how amazing Remora can be for different communities, for different types of customers. And I'm curious, I mean, I could understand and I can see the benefits of Remora in my own personal life. Who would your first ideal customer be, in case perhaps they're on the call?
Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here this evening. So our ideal customer really is everyone, but who we're going to initially focus on, think of a lot of the native corporations, the subsidiary of the native corporations, and the rural projects, especially construction projects, engineering, electrical, where they're sending equipment out to these villages in various sizes all throughout the state. So that's going to be our number one focus initially.
That's fantastic. And given both of your experiences, I'm sure that you'll be able to do so flawlessly. And tell us a little bit more about why the name Remora. It's such a fascinating word, not one that, well, you really ever hear.
Right. So a remora is a type of fish, and it attaches itself to sharks primarily, but it'll also attach itself to other marine life as well as ships, and it hitches a ride. So when we were coming up with different ideas, we thought that that would be a really fun, catchy name that also has the meaning of what we do. We allow your cargo to hitch a ride across the state of Alaska.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jody. And finally, where can folks stay updated with where Remora is going, what you're doing, how we can help you grow your business, really?
Excellent. So we do have a presence on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. We also have our own website. So if you want to look at remoraapp.com, and you can sign up for updates there. But please check that out. We're going to have it here in the chat and available for everyone to see. Thank you so much, Mel.
Thank you, Jody. Mark, how are we doing?
Great job. Thank you, Melanie, and thank you, Jody. Congratulations, Jody, and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, so next let's do the second of our 4 door prizes. We have this wheel of names again. I'm gonna spin it and see. Aaron Ferguson, right on. Congratulations, Aaron Ferguson. Oh, I meant to say this ahead of time. What it is. Okay. This is such a good package. I live in Fairbanks and I'm still pretty jealous. 1 gift certificate for a riverboat, one gift certificate for a riverboat discovery ticket, 1 gift certificate to visit Gold Dredge number 8, 1 pack of Captain Jim's Alaska smoked salmon with the Binkley family smoked salmon cookbook, and 2 Chena Hot Springs day passes. I think you live in Juneau, if I remember correctly, so that's good motivation to make the trip to Fairbanks. Give me a call when you come. All right. There we go. I'm gonna stop the share of this, and we are gonna move on to our next pitch.
Hello, my name is Zachary Mason. I'm the CEO of North Star Tutors, and I am a terrible student. Don't get me wrong, I was always good at learning, and I was a smart kid growing up, but I was just bad at being a student. And unfortunately, I'm not alone. Across the country, class sizes have been increasing drastically, which means teachers have less time to spend with individual students who might be struggling. In Alaska alone, 2 out of 3 fourth graders aren't up to the national standards in mathematics. And while educational support options do exist to support struggling students, they're often clunky and impersonal, and ultimately they're too expensive for the average family to afford anyway. On top of all of this, stress levels among elementary and high school students are on the rise. In your average high school class of 30 students, 21 of them are experiencing unhealthy levels of stress. Now, what is stress? Stress is the feeling you get when there's an increase in the cortisol levels in your bloodstream. And cortisol has some nasty side effects. It stunts your growth. It reduces your immune response, a particularly terrible one during a global pandemic. It harms your focus and your memory, causing students who are already struggling in school to do even worse. It reduces the release of oxytocin in your brain, which biologically makes you less empathetic and less generous. And ultimately, higher cortisol levels are correlated to a lower life expectancy. Now, I know you didn't come to hear a TED Talk on stress and cortisol, and you're probably wondering why I'm telling you all this, but I can't help it, because at North Star Tutors, explaining new ideas to people, well, that's just what we do. So what do we propose? We need a solution that provides one-on-one support to struggling students. Students are individuals. They struggle in individual ways, and ultimately they need individualized help. Pairing a tutor with a student needs to be based on far more than just subject and grade level. We like to say finding the right tutor is like finding the right therapist. It's as much about the tutor's ability to connect with the student on an emotional level as it is the tutor's ability to explain a concept well. Students need to be able to be vulnerable with them, to express that they don't understand something or that they're struggling, and that can be challenging. And finally, the option needs to be accessible, affordable, and available. It needs to be available for as many people as possible, because getting the help you need in school shouldn't be conditioned on what your parents' income level is. And at North Star Tutors, that's exactly what we've been doing. For the last 7 months, we've been offering educational tutoring, SAT and ACT prep courses for college-bound students, ASVAB prep courses for military-bound students, and we augment those support options with guitar, ukulele, and singing lessons. We offer these services at up to 40% cheaper rates than our national competitors, and out of the 13 tutors we've hired, 11 of them are current high school and college students, which means they understand what it's like to be a student in 2021. And the results speak for themselves. To date, we've provided over 500 hours of instruction, translating to over $40,000 in gross revenue. And while we did see a dip in sales between semesters, as we expected, we've entered the new year strong, doing nearly $10,000 in sales in February alone, breaking the 100 lesson per month mark for the first time, and becoming the largest Alaska-based educational support provider in the state. We've also secured contracts with community organizations and school districts, and we have a military contract and several more civilian contracts in the works right now. But where do we go from here? This quarter, we've already begun expanding our marketing efforts throughout the state of Alaska. And by September of 2023, we expect to be providing 500 lessons a month to at least 125 students across the state. At the start of 2024, we'll begin pushing our marketing efforts into Washington and Oregon with an expectation of providing 1,500 lessons per month by September of 2025. We do all of that by charging students in advance for all sessions, generally on a month-to-month basis. We charge $50 per lesson for educational tutoring and music lessons, with discounts available for essential workers, as well as need-based discounts available for families below a certain income threshold. Missed sessions and same-day cancellations are completely non-refundable, and our tutors are paid an average of $21 an hour, providing a gross margin of around 55%. And tutors are only paid for the time that they actively spend in the tutoring session. Our test prep courses, on the other hand, are 20 hours long, and we bill students $750 as a package.
Trying to figure out why we just lost audio.
Because the corporations with whom we have the contracts are footing the bill for the tutoring. And it also provides guaranteed income for the company. We always strive to implement annual service contracts with a cap on the maximum number of lessons we'll perform in a year, but under usage on that contract is irrelevant. By 2025, those 1,500 lessons per month will translate to roughly 400 active clients and $67,500 in net revenue each month. We're going to continue reaching new clients and growing the business through partnerships with educational institutions, school districts, community organizations, as well as marketing contracts with partner companies. We plan to use direct marketing to reach parents, higher education students, and school counselors so that we can get the word out about the company and the services that we provide. And finally, we look to use military contracts and expand those so that we can provide all of the services we offer to the children of military service members. And we couldn't have come at a better time. As a whole, online tutoring is a rapidly growing market. Pre-COVID projections already showed it expanding at 17% per year. And with education, as well as everything else moving online over the last 14 months, that has only accelerated that growth. We believe that with sufficient outside investment, we can easily claim at least $2 million of the market by 2027. Ultimately, a very attainable goal that's both in line with our financial projections and represents only about 1/10,000th of the global market. Based on our projections, that $2 million will translate to approximately $500,000 in net profit. I know I said investment, so speaking of investment, we've been working to raise $150,000 and have raised $10,000 towards that goal so far. Of the investment we receive, we're looking to put approximately 65% towards expanding our marketing efforts. This means growing our social media presence, running every door direct mail drives in targeted neighborhoods so people will find flyers with company information on them in their mailbox, as well as producing limited video advertisements that we can put on television or YouTube and similar platforms, and expanding our ability to market to potential corporate clients. Approximately 25% of that investment will go towards expanding the integrations between our existing platforms, as well as developing new in-house systems to support our projected growth and further automate the administration of our company. Finally, 10% will cover the upfront cost of hiring new tutors to support the new clients that we bring in through those expanded marketing efforts. We've received incredible advice along this journey from Charles Lemke and Susan Haas. Charles, or Chuck as he asks us to call him, is a former school teacher and serial entrepreneur who has started and run everything from restaurants to dental practices to specialized training facilities. He brings with him more decades than he'll allow me to say of entrepreneurial experience. Susan, on the other hand, is a career educator and administrator who has worked all across Alaska. Her experience includes decades of K-12 instruction, as well as helping found one of the homeschool programs here in Fairbanks. They're both incredibly qualified individuals, and the support they offer to North Star Tutors is unparalleled. On the other hand, we have our team. My name's Zachary again. I'm the CEO here at North Star Tutors. I'm currently an interdisciplinary major at UAF. I spent 3 years in the computer science and applied mathematics department, and I've worked jobs all across the board from corporate IT to retail management to working as the chief production technology engineer for a production startup here in town. Krishna and Nicholas have both been here since the very beginning. Krishna is a current student working on his nursing degree. He's provided tutoring in math, Spanish, and the natural sciences, and now acts as our director of educational services. Nicholas is a professionally trained performer and musician and a graduate of the Young Americans College of Performing Arts in California. He's also currently a student working on his degree in special education. He's provided our music instruction since we got off the ground, and we're currently getting him trained up as the director of our music services programs. I guess really what I'm trying to say with all of this is that my name's Zachary Mason, and I am not a good student. But with the help of somebody like Krishna or Nicholas or any of the other incredible tutors that we have on our team here, I could be. Thank you very much.
All right, that's great. Thanks, Terry and Zach, if you could join us too. All right, hello. So we just met Zach. Good to see you. And Terry, if you could introduce yourself and then take a couple minutes to talk with Zach about North Star Tutors.
Sure, thank you. Hi, I'm Terry Fraze. I'm the owner of TDL Staffing, and part of the due diligence team was Lincoln Steele, Scott Bell, Linda James, and Damon Darby. So our team spent some great time with Mace, with Zachary, and Zachary, you've done a great job, really, just getting to know you has been wonderful. My question is, what excites you about your company, and what do you feel you offer that current tutor companies don't offer?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Terry. Just to say, it's been a pleasure working with all of you guys too. I think that what excites me the most about this whole project and all of the work we've done so far is really seeing what an impact that we can have on Alaskan students' lives, and how limited and how much we're filling a niche that doesn't exist. You know, the limited support options that exist for students who are struggling in classes right now, particularly as everything has moved online. So we have, we've been very COVID conscious since we started the company. We began as an online company. I think that already sets us apart from our competition because we're used to existing in this space. We were founded to exist in this space. We're also a highly personal company. So as I touched on in the slides, we firmly believe that pairing tutors and students should be about a lot more than subject and grade level. And I think that that personal element of making sure that the tutor and the student have an empathetic and personal connection is intrinsic to what makes us a great support provider. I think that in line with that, you know, we were founded by students. I'm a current student. Krishna and Nicholas are both current students. And I think that the fact that so out of 13 tutors we have on our team right now, 11 of them are students. And I think that that provides a level of empathy and an ability to provide support in a way that somebody who graduated 2 decades ago just can't, because they don't understand what it's like. We also have a significant amount of automation that we use in order to reduce the administrative burden of the company. So I think that when people think of education, and particularly state and government education programs, they're very top heavy. There's a lot of administration and relatively few teachers. And we wanted to make sure that the funds were going to employing tutors and supporting students wherever possible. So realistically, we've only got, there's me, Krishna, and Nicholas, and then we basically have kind of an administrative assistant, office manager type person, and that's the entire administrative team. And we're fully scalable at this point because of the systems that we've put in place to automate so much of our administration. And I think that ultimately that's a lot of what sets us apart. It's that, and then our the company culture that we've built that encourages people to go out of their way to support students, and that makes people want to work for us.
Thank you. That's a great answer. And I do believe you guys are really providing a wonderful service to our community.
Thank you very much, Terry. I really appreciate it.
Great job, Zach. Congratulations and good luck. Thank you, Terry and Zach. All right, so let's move on to our second to last pitch. We have WebbRes, and here we go.
Hello, my name is Britton Webb, and I'm the founder of WebbRes, a modern dealer management software platform that helps trailer, RV, and equipment dealerships manage their sales, rentals, and service operations from one easy-to-use platform. We also have a few add-ons. One of them is a website API inventory management system that can also tie directly in with the DMS, the dealer management software. So where did WebbRes get its start? So about 7.5 years ago, I started a trailer rental company, and I, upon starting it, needed to have software to be able to manage my rental reservations. As the company grew, I started offering sales and realized that software system that just handled reservations and rentals wasn't quite adaptable enough to be able to handle the sales invoicing piece as well. So I had to go out and get another piece of software to be able to handle that. As a company continued to grow, I added on a service department, and that was a whole nother set of software system that I had to also purchase that, again, was separate and didn't communicate with all the other systems that I had. Then on top of all that, I had to have a whole nother system to be able to manage my online inventory, and it didn't talk to any of the other systems. So I was running multiple different systems. They didn't talk to each other. It was a huge pain to get all of my employees trained up each time I hired a new employee. And so I sat down and said, there's got to be a system that we can build that can do all this functionality to make my life easier. And that is where WebbRes came to be. So the problem is not just the trailer industry, but you look at the trailer RV and equipment industries and agriculture, power sports, start to look at all these industries, and it's across the board kind of similar issues that you're not able to have your sales, rentals, and service operations on one platform. Now, other systems do maybe offer one or two of those, but they don't let alone offer all three, let alone leverage, the same platform. So that's what WebbRes is able to offer. WebbRes is able to offer all of these three different operating, back-end operating pieces of the business onto one platform. So you're able to streamline your day-to-day operations, and you're able to save a lot of time. Not just saving time in terms of being able to pull from the same inventory module, but also in terms of helping customers and pulling from sales to service modules. So the business model, we're going to target the trailer, RV, and equipment industries, and we're going to target companies that have 1 to 200 employees and have revenue from 500 to 25 million. We're going to sell each module, so sales, service, and rentals, for $100 a month, and that includes up to 3 users. Now, if a company needs to just say purchase 2 of the modules, say Service Center and the sales module, they can just purchase those 2 modules. As companies grow, it's just $20 additional for each additional user. So the market size in the United States has over 40,000 dealerships alone. So between heavy equipment, you got about 15,000, RV, a little over 4,000 in trailer. And so you may be wondering why our go-to-market strategy is to look at these industries first. It's because those are the ones that I know the most about. But again, this software system, this platform is able to be adaptable across many different, not only dealership market segments, but different industries. Those 3 modules, sales, service, and rentals, are separable. So if you have a kayak rental company or a bicycle rental company, you're able to just use that part of the system and just pay for what you need. So there are a few competitors, obviously, within this dealer management system market segment within the United States and also globally. And what you'll find is that across the different segments, repair, rental, and sales, that they don't address every single issue that company that dealership may have, in terms of if they just have a rental segment, that they also don't take care of repair. So you'd have to purchase a separate system. And you'll really see that here, that WebbRes is able to provide all of that across the board: rentals, repair, a full dealer management DMS system, and along with all of that, a website API inventory management system that talks with the WebbRes platform. So you'll see that these other companies, they just either offer 1 or 2, but definitely not 3 of the service offerings that WebbRes is able to offer. What's also important to note with this is a lot of these companies are just getting founded, in terms of ShopMonkey was founded in 2016. Black Pearl is a DMS system, was founded in 2016. But a lot of these other companies that were founded much earlier on are built on older frameworks and programming languages that do not have the ease of functionality that people in this day and age expect. And that's where WebbRes has that first mover and last mover advantage, in terms of we're able to build on a modern framework that is easy to use, but we're also able to take the last mover advantage and take the knowledge, the industry knowledge that I've learned of the pain points, and put that into a platform that is going to be user friendly for any dealership. So where are we today? We have built our MVP, and we have our version 1, which is currently being used full-time by my own dealership. We are working on a version 2 that will be released in Q3 of this year, 2021. And just a few little highlights here with what we have. This is what the system looks like. As you see on the bottom left, we have a inventory profile where it gives you all the information that you need. Like I said, it's a modern look and feel in terms of ease of use. On the top right, you see a modern looking booking calendar that's easy to use. It gives you that information that you're looking for, not only as a business owner or as a manager, but also an employee that's using the system. So you're saving a lot of time also with not having to hunt around for the information. It's going to be ease of use right there. And that also gives that company that uses the WebbRes platform, it helps those customers that use it also are going to see benefits from that in terms of saving time at that dealership or at that business. So they're not having to stand around for a long time as you click through is with older systems to look up information and tie them to an invoice and check them out. This system is just so much easier and faster to use, more streamlined again. So the team, myself, Britton Webb, the founder, I have Mike, who is an advisor and investor, and our development team, Raju, who is the director of engineering. He is the spearhead jack of all trades, who also heads that team for Visuals, our full stack, Mint, our full stack developer, and Lisa, our full-time UI UX designer. Along the way throughout this process, we have created strategic partnerships. One of them is with Preferred Payments. So Preferred Payments is our PCI compliant gateway provider processor for credit cards. Now, this is one thing that I personally felt pain with in my own business, that systems just didn't talk with the dealer management systems that we had. And Preferred Payments is be able to tie in directly with WebbRes. And this is the one part of sales of a software system that you can actually tell your clients that you will save money. Preferred Payments, I can show that it has saved us thousands of dollars in processing fees. And not only that, it's just ease of use that it's tied directly in with the web reservation, the WebbRes platform. And so we have also put other strategic partnerships in place with the American Rental Association, National Association of Trailer Dealership, and we're going to be adding more and more to our strategic partnerships. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our website is webbres.com. Thank you. Bye.
All right. That's great. Britton, if you could turn on there. There you go. Scott's here. You just met Britton, and Scott, if you could introduce, well, we already know, we already introduced you. So if you guys could take a couple minutes to talk about WebbRes.
Yeah. Hi, Britton. How are you doing today?
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, I want to just introduce the rest of the due diligence team. At least list their names here. Terry Fries, Liam Zolt, Lou Eiskavir, and Jake Eiskavir were the other parts of the team. And we had some great interactions with you. One thought as I was watching this again, one thought came to mind. If you talked about starting off with RVs and equipment sales, and why not like larger auto dealerships or a different market segment?
Yeah, good question. So WebbRes, those larger enterprise systems like Cox Automotive or Reynolds and Reynolds, those are larger markets in terms of enterprise systems. WebbRes is not that. We are SMB. We are small to medium-sized businesses. And what that gives us the ability is the flexibility to address the smallest of small, all the way from a kayak or a boat or a bicycle rental company, all the way up to a full-fledged dealership that needs all of those systems in place on the back end. So sales, rentals, and service. And you could go as big as a really large medical rental company. I mean, it's incredibly flexible. It's adaptable in terms of what we can address market size. And again, it's a small to medium size business that we're after.
Thanks. And another thing, you listed all the competitors and showed where your advantages are, but there are an awful lot of them out there. And to be successful, you've got to differentiate yourself. So can you dig into that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to kind of, to add on a little bit more of from that first question, we have that adaptability. So we have that first mover advantage in the sense that we are able to provide a business solution for our customers. If you need to have a system or a platform that is able to take care of your rental back end part of the business, or your sales or your service, all three, we're able to do that. So we have that first mover advantage. And we also have that last mover advantage in terms that we're building on a modern framework. I mean, the way it operates, it's easy to use. It's what we're used to in this modern era of using, every single modern app. And so it's that last mover advantage as well that we're able to give to our customers and the clients and the customers that are also coming to these businesses that get experience of on the back end of ease of use of kind of faster checkout times and all that.
Nice job.
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation today, and good luck with things.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Agreed. Congratulations and good luck. All right. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Britton. We have just one more pitch. Looking forward to this, and then we'll have the People's Choice Award right after that.
Hello and welcome everyone. This is Recharge Alaska. Recharge Alaska's team is small and nimble. Me, Chris Hall, the founder and electric vehicle, EV for short, enthusiast. My background includes over 10 years of medium-sized new equipment oilfield projects with emphasis on operations and maintenance of electrical equipment in the Arctic. Recharge Alaska was developed because there's a hole in the EV space for Alaska. Currently, the mainland of Alaska is the only region of the United States that does not have DC fast charging available. We are here to close that gap and provide mobility for EVs in Alaska. Our mission statement is to define and develop solutions for deploying a public charging infrastructure, PCI for short, for EVs in the subarctic of Alaska. Alaska is like no other place for EVs. Most EV OEMs state in their vehicle's owner's manual not to operate in temperatures colder than minus 30 degrees Celsius. As you can see, that's just the south part of Alaska. And we have some crazy Alaskans pushing those limits in the interior of Alaska. One of the problems that we must solve for is providing mobility to the EV users of mainland Alaska. The solution needs to be self-sustaining. This is controlled by managing the operating fees from the utility companies. We need a solution that can operate throughout the year indifferent of the outdoor temperature, which affects the electrical gear used for EV charging equipment, and develop solutions to minimize the downtime from cold temperature related failures. EVs do not like the cold. They're very humanoid in this manner, and charging speeds are reduced when batteries are cold. Another complication is the current state regulations for utility companies do not allow for the resale power. Many challenges to work through for a viable solution. A viable solution is determined through data collection and evaluation. We are currently 60% into our initial installation in Cantwell, Alaska for a 50 kW DC fast charger. This is on the slow side of fast chargers. The Cantwell installation is supported by a grant from Golden Valley, as they want to collect data from the EVs that charge at this location. We have partnered with ACEP to closely monitor 7 EVs in the interior of Alaska to help us understand the EV behavior when subjected to cold temperatures, other than what the OEM recommendations are. This data will provide us with anticipated range of EVs from summer to winter months and help us understand distances between DC fast charging locations. The initial installation in Cantwell is our test bed for trialing cold weather techniques on the DC fast charger. We've updated the OEM's minimum coolant operating temperature from minus 35 degrees Celsius to minus 55 degrees Celsius. And we have further techniques to be applied systematically as failures occur. The EV market has room to grow. Tracking the numbers from the DMV, the current market size is just above 0%. Non-EV owners may not understand the idea of charging at home, but current EVs are offered with about 250 to 400 miles of range and work great for regions that Alaskans live in. The issue comes when they want to travel from region to region. And Tesla stated in 2018, their customers' charging habits are about 90% at home and 10% at their supercharger sites. This is convenient to wake up to a full battery every morning, but highly inconvenient when traveling from region to region with the 4 to 6 hour stop to charge in the middle. We are taking a phased approach to installing our PCI. Phase 1 is data collection to confirm and or adjust our revenue model and evaluate our cold temperature kit. Phase 2 is to take those learnings and install at more sites for more locations for EV users to travel. This phase is planned to help grow the number of EVs in Alaska by increasing mobility of users. Phase 3 is installing ultra-fast chargers at key locations along the road system and pulling the slower phase 2 machines into cities to account for the used EV market. Our market modeling shows EV saturation topping out at about 2% of the available market if a PCI is not available, and can grow to 8 to 10% by the end of the decade with a PCI available. Currently, the rates of growth from January to April, the first quarter of this year, has already showed signs of slowing down at 3% increase versus greater than 30% increase from the previous quarter. Evaluating our competition in a graphical form, on the y-axis is the number of steps needed to initiate a charging session, and on the x-axis is the customer interface with the machine. Tesla, they're vertically integrated with their equipment in EVs. Therefore, they make simple process of plugging in and no further actions required by the user. For the other networks listed, their offering entails their users to have a smartphone, an app, and an account through their app to use their equipment. Recharge Alaska knows the next EV owner is someone who's accustomed to gas pumps. Therefore, we want our user interface to be the same. No need to pull out a smartphone and wait to activate through the web. All activation is done locally through a credit card reader. The Alaska Energy Authority, AEA from here on out, has released their VW settlement grant funding to the public. This grant money is available to everyone who meets their requirements. Recharge Alaska has applied for their grant for a second location, but we fundamentally disagree on several other requirements and anticipate our terms and conditions to not be accepted by AEA. With that said, we're not the only group who applied and know that this grant will activate many other groups to take a go at the EV charging space. Cantwell was chosen for the main purpose of being the furthest south Golden Valley provides electricity along the Parks Highway. It is close to the halfway point between Anchorage and Fairbanks, at 210 miles north of Anchorage and 140 miles south of Fairbanks. This location is geared toward the EV road trippers between the two locations. Golden Valley has a lower cost to operate when compared to the other 6 utilities in mainland Alaska, like considerably. This is the connection fee that we would pay for the same machine at other utilities with the number of connections on the right side of the graph. It can be expensive. Charging customers for our service is a tricky task when we do not believe in selling energy as a unit of time. This will especially affect users when we get into phase 3 machines, as not all EVs are built the same. Some can take on energy much faster than others, and we do not want to unfairly weight our EV customers based on their vehicle. The best way to do a custody transfer of energy is through a defined unit of measurement. We are applying the same standards from the oil field to our customers by working with Golden Valley to provide a direct pass-through of the amount of kilowatt hours a customer consumes. This is a big win. Recharge Alaska will charge our customers a connection fee, and the amount of energy consumed from the charging session will be directly applied to our customers' charges at the end of the session. In the graphical form, we have the y-axis on as the number of connections and the x-axis as time. We're showing the projections of best case, normal case, and worst case based on the existing connections counted through plugshare.com. For the Cantwell location, as the EV community does not have a PCI, we anticipate seeing numbers closer to the best case based on the ability to reduce commuting times between Fairbanks and Anchorage. Our initial installation is supported through a Golden Valley grant awarded to Recharge Alaska. We are actively seeking financial support to develop 7 more locations: Healy, Fairbanks, North Pole, Delta, Glen Allen, and Valdez. These locations are based on the utility provider's rates as shown in slide 10. By the end of phase 2, we plan to have about 50 DC fast chargers across mainland Alaska. The investment is long-term, as our revenue is a function of EV users, and we need more EV users to make this a viable business. Thanks for your time. And again, I'm Recharge Alaska.
Great job, Chris. Let's see, we've got Ray and Chris up here. You just met Chris, and Ray, if you could introduce yourself and then talk a couple minutes with Chris a little bit more about Recharge.
Sure, thank you. Ray Hewitt, I'm a fund co-manager this year of the Alaska Angel Conference. I was the lead on the DD due diligence team for Recharge Alaska, along with Sam Borstein and Carl Swanson. We really enjoyed, and it was very educational, working with Chris on the electric vehicle charging business, and I really enjoyed it. Chris, you mentioned that you weren't able to resell electricity, and that's all controlled by the Regulatory Commission of Alaska for Utilities. And during our DD, we we talked a little bit about expected changes in regulations and what you were hoping for in changes. Could you talk about that a little bit and what you see as changes in the regulations and especially what might help Recharge Alaska?
Yes, thank you for that question. So the RCA is the regulator between end users and producers within Alaska to sell and buy electricity. Right now they're in the midst of reviewing a docket. I believe it's R20-005, or sorry, R5-0020. And in that review, they're evaluating a new service line for EV charging specifically. Right now, as you saw on that graph, it can be pretty expensive just to own a charging station for the connection fees. And so that's based on the demand charge. And what RCA is looking at doing is reevaluating the demand charge to match how many users we have within the state of Alaska in order to lower that barrier to entry. And what that can do is impact our operational costs, make it a little bit lower, especially in regions that have a higher density of EVs, namely the Valley and Anchorage areas and along the peninsula as well. But what we don't know is what that ultimately will look like. We're anticipating seeing a higher price per kilowatt, but a lower connection fee for those utilities. And so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, and we're definitely going to be watching that. There's a lot of opportunity to go in this region where Chuyak operates if the rates do make a change.
And just to reiterate, if you could, I mean, you have a plan to continue operating with or without changes to regulation.
That is correct. So our main focus is Golden Valley, and why Cantwell was chosen is because that's as far south as they can go, and that puts us into a lower operating model. And then we'll start venturing northbound. So we did apply for the AEA grant, which is looking at Healy. Healy is a great stopping point for people from Fairbanks down to the park and back on up. And then we're also looking at Delta and Glen Allen in order to continue the wrap on around, which is in another place that's a lower operating rate structure.
Thanks, Chris. It was great working with you. I wish you good luck, and keep us updated on what's going on in the future. We'll be looking to charge our EVs.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate all the work you did too.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Chris, and good luck. Thank you both. All right, that wraps up all of our pitches. Let's move on to, I will come back here. So now it's your turn to vote for your favorite startup. The People's Choice will receive one round trip ticket to anywhere that Alaska Airlines flies. So thank you, Alaska Airlines. I'm going to launch the People's Choice Award poll right now. You will see one company on there, Baby Vend, that ultimately decided it wasn't a good match for the Alaska Angel Conference this year. It's still a great company, and we encourage you to support them. But the other 5 companies are of the 5 pitches that you saw this evening. So I'm launching that poll now. Please go ahead and vote. All right, and while waiting for the last few votes to come in, let's switch back to the wheel of names for our third door prize. This is for 2 more Chena Hot Springs day passes and a large Alaska themed eco-friendly t-shirt from Nomadic Stars. Oh, all right. I almost won. Melanie, congratulations. We'll get that sent to you. All right. Got one more door prize still. And I'm going to close this People's Choice voting in 15 seconds. And Scott, if you could join me up here.
Well, we have the winner of the People's Choice Award, and that is North Star Tutors and Zachary Mason, their founder. So congratulations, Zachary. I don't know if Zachary wants, Zachary, if you're still here, if you wanted to unmute and join up, there you are. Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't know what else to say.
Well, congratulations. I think you really connected with many of the, you obviously connected with many of the people with us today, and you know, that service that you're providing. I personally know that there were times in school when I felt I really needed a tutor.
Me too.
And you know, you're providing this great service, and it touches many people's lives.
Thank you very much, Scott. I really, it means a lot to hear you say that. And thank you to all of you, and thank you to everyone who voted for us. We will use it wisely.
Thank you again, Zachary.
Right on. Good job. Good job. Great job, Zach. Let's do one more door prize, and then we are going to have the announcement of the winner of this year's Alaska Angel Conference. All right. So this is for the last door prize. This is pretty nice. From Fountainhead Development, it's a gift certificate for 2 nights stay in a 1-bedroom suite at Wedgwood Resort in Fairbanks. 2 Fountainhead Antique Auto Museum prepaid day passes, and 2 Chena Hot Springs day passes. So you've got your Fairbanks vacation all planned out for you right there. All right, let's see who it is. Congratulations, Alicia. All right. This is a slide to say congratulations to this year's winner, and that's it. Scott, you can take it from here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Just back to that last door prize. For those of you not familiar with the Fountainhead Auto Museum, it's an amazing collection. I think of over 50 cars, all pre-World War II, in amazing condition. It's really this little gem here in Fairbanks, and well worth traveling from around the state to go visit. Yeah, so the winner, boy, this was a tough decision. We got together and all the investors, and after a lot of deliberation and discussion, finally managed to choose one. This was a really strong cohort. You know, all of them were tackling and solving some of the major problems, which are, you know, picking an industry that has a large market, figuring out how you're going to attract enough customers to be a successful business. And then can you execute on your plan here, you know, and we saw that in all of them. And the challenge came down to, as this angel conference, we award the $100,000 we have to only one company, feeling that that will really help one of the companies significantly, as opposed to spreading it across, in this case, 5 finalists, where it would help each one a bit. But we really like to see a company move to that next inflection point, that next milestone they've set for themselves to hit a goal for more customers, or be able to reduce price point because they've brought on a new supplier or brought out a new version of their product. And so after a lot of back and forth, we really came down to the one company that is getting the $100,000 this year. And I'd like you to join me in congratulating Britton Webb of WebbRes as the company that earned the $100,000 investment this year. So congratulations, Britton. And if you could come join me for a moment too.
Ooh, Scott, Mark, everybody, thank you so much. I'm incredibly shocked. I am humbled. I am, words can't really describe. I'm just very appreciative to be just a part of the Alaska Angel Conference, to have been a part of, the networking process from day one, and getting, amazing guidance from everybody that's been a part of this. Just a huge thank you. And right now, as I said, words are kind of hard to put in words how excited I am, not just for the Alaska Angel Conference, but the state of Alaska and onward. At this point, it's as Mark Patey says, if you guys are familiar with him, back to work. It's now time to put this into the hands of many businesses and solve the pain points. And I'm incredibly excited for this next start of the journey. And again, thank you so much. I'm humbled and honored and speechless. And thank you.
Well, again, congratulations, and good luck with your next steps moving forward. On behalf of all the investors in the Alaska Angel Conference, I really want to acknowledge the hard work of the founders of all 23 companies that joined the conference, and particularly the 5 finalist companies. That was the teams of Ryan and Maggie with Modern City, Chris with Recharge Alaska, Zachary with North Star Tutors, Rebecca and Jody with Remora, and Britton with WebbRes. You all put in many hours preparing for the investors, preparing information for us as the investors to review. You pitched your company several times, and did you answer a lot of questions from us. And you did this all while you were running a startup, and sometimes even having a day job. All these, you all had these great ideas and entrepreneurial drive to be successful, and we really look forward to seeing you all achieve success in the future. So with that, Mark, I'll turn it back over to you. And again, just following up with a thank you for all of our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't have made it possible. And of course, having Shellye Archambeau join us early on with her inspirational talk was wonderful.
Yeah, right on. Thanks. Great job, Britton. I think you really wowed all the investors throughout. So congratulations. I hope that you can build a new business in Alaska that creates more jobs and really helps move our economy forward. Once again, acknowledging our sponsors. They're listed here on the screen. We had great support from all of them and all of the people who helped organize this year's Alaska Angel Conference. And moving on to a final slide, I wanted to say thanks everyone That's everything we have. Thank you for joining us. My name and my email address are located here at the bottom. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like, any kind of feedback, feel free to contact me. Please get ready for next year's Alaska Angel Conference. It's going to be hosted in Anchorage. So again, that bit.ly link is there. You can subscribe to the email list that's going to just basically give you a heads up of when you need to join. Also, you can follow it on Facebook. That's everything we have. So thanks everyone so much. And keep on supporting our startups and investing in our startups, or create your own startup so that you can enter next year's Alaska Angel Conference. Thank you.